Hey guys, this is Carlos Phoenix with the Indie Lounge, and today we're going to have a very special show. I have an old friend and special guest. His name is Dorian Vallejo, and Dorian is a fairly well-known artist. He's been around for a very long time now because we're getting older. And back in the day, we went to school together, and we did sci-fi fantasy paintings, and now he's entering. He's been going into this whole other world. So let me introduce you. Hello, Dorian. How are you?
Hey, Carlos, it's good to see you. Glad we're connecting in this way.
Now you're in New Jersey, right? Is that right, or Pennsylvania?
I'm in Pennsylvania now. I just moved up here several months ago.
Oh, very cool. And so we've known each other for a very long time, for, probably over 20 some odd years, I think. Let's start. In the
Okay.
early days, and now you. Some people may know you based off of your dad, Mr. Boris Vallejo, who is a very well known sci-fi fantasy illustrator. And now you're an artist. So was there a direct influence, or did you kind of come about being an artist on your own?
Uh, so you know what? Obviously, there would be a direct influence, and my earliest memories of my father are, gosh, I was so small. I couldn't even reach like my arms like fully extended to the couch, to the seat of the couch. So I would just curl up like a little kitten by his foot, and he'd leave all sorts of tracing paper and drawings and drawing materials and comic books and that kind of thing in the studio. And his easel backed up against the couch. And so every day I would come in and I would sit by his foot, and he'd leave all this stuff there on the floor. And I would just curl up, like I said, like by his leg and just draw, and make little drawings for hours. And my father lifted weights, and he still does. But at that time, being so tiny, he seemed like the Hulk. He was huge. And I was like, my God, my father is like enormous. And he left all his assignments for the many jobs that he was working on a bulletin board just above this couch that I mentioned. And he push pinned them. They were like on a corkboard, and he would push pin them into the corkboard.
Hmm.
And for my little mind, that was so fascinating. Those push pins, I just have to get to them. And every day I would like reach my arms up, and I was just too small. And that's about how young I was. When I first started drawing, and that he had his influence on me. And then my mother would cook dinner, and he'd sweep me up in his arm, his one huge bicep, and bring me down. So, he's painting this kind of stuff with this like heroic fantasy, and then he looks the part. He was like modeling for these paintings as well. So he would take me into the other room, and he had a gym. He built a gym into the house, so I would lift weights. And so much of my early influence about health, about bodybuilding, about heroism, about what's possible in life, really comes so much from my father. And we just have had a great relationship always. He came here to the country with absolutely not knowing anybody and with nothing, and made his name based on his talent and his belief in what's possible. And of course, that had an effect on me early on, and then, like I said, after he'd paint there and we'd be there together all day. He'd sweep me up in his arm, and we'd go downstairs, and he'd sit me on his lap, and my mother would be cooking dinner, and he would start, like a little drawing, I'd have like a pencil in my little fat hand, and he would say, okay, go up a little bit to the right, stop, go down a little bit to the left, stop, go across a little bit, stop. And we would do this for about 15, 20 minutes together. And I was just on the moon with happiness. And he felt like sitting in the lap of a superhero, right? But he's so gentle and loving and kind. And then my mother would say, okay, dinner's going to be ready. We set the table, and we'd finish the drawing, and it would be like the head of a lion. And I was like, oh my God, I just love this. So my early experience, I mean, he had an impact on me my entire life.
Well, that's